Nope. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Justin Our G.I. Joe Show, episode number 36. And yes, you see a big drape down here because I want you all to see my beautiful face is what it is. No more blurry for this man right here. We don't really have a title. We really don't have a real guest besides these yahoos. But outside of that, we're just really going to shoot the shit and shoot ideas off each other, talk about this, talk about that. So we'll start from my visual right to left on who we got here, starting with our good buddy Skinny. Skinny, tell them about yourself, where they can find you at, and all that fun stuff.
I am Skinny Joe Fan. I am at Skinny Joe Fan on Twitter and Instagram, and Skinny on the forums.
Rick?
Then you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as Shatterglass Jazz.
Jay?
You can find me hiding in your closet with a really sharp knife.
Sad,
he's not
man.
wrong. It happens.
I believe it. And his house is so small, I can see him hiding in the closet, too. Fred?
Hi, I'm Fred from JBL. You can find me on Facebook, the World Wide Web, Twitter, and Instagram at Joe Battlelines. We do actually have a special guest tonight. Mike's got him locked in a cage behind the tarp.
The whole wall pops.
Yeah, you guys are worried about me. It's him you got to watch out for.
Yeah, right. Again, like I said, we didn't really. I was working on a guest that I'll have for the next show, and then I know Fred's been working on a couple other guests that we haven't nailed down completely yet. But he was more than happy to correct some grammar earlier on Facebook, so I do appreciate that from him. But well, it was a picture I shared from his, and he and I didn't. You know, when you're typing, you don't think about proper grammar. You just
yes, you do.
Yeah,
I do. Yes, you do.
Actually, it's one of the main.
No, you don't. No,
it's
you
a
don't.
Main concern.
Dude, I work in advertising. Yes, it is.
I can't spell for shit, and y'all know that I misspelled.
After McLeod, I'm done. Like after McLeod, I don't know that you could beat anything. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one of all time.
I told him his name. I said McLeod is what it was, and
oh no!
And then when we did the
you shot your McLeod.
Then John to give me the pictures for the first shipment, and I put spoilers in the comments, but it came up comments.
Yeah.
Comments. Yeah.
Not even that wasn't even spelled right.
I just it was spell check. I mean, the phone itself did it. Is what I just run with it. But anyways, I don't even know where I was at. We know I can't spell. But anyways, I posted a picture from his tank to the new or the updated page of unofficial G.I. Joe Collectors Club, The End. And a former Hasbro person came on there and corrected my, not my mistake. It was actually a Lonely of the, or Bats of the Lonely, or whatever his name is off his.
Owner of a Lonely Bat.
That's it. He had done it, and I went on there and posted how it was corrected by someone from Hasbro. So they all loved that one.
You know you've made it when that. Oh wait, never mind.
For y'all who've been hiding in a closet, unlike kind of like John, it would be if y'all are on the FSS, y'all would have gotten your subscription figures here soon. They shipped out on, what was it, Wednesday? I got mine yesterday. So yeah. So I know John got his on Thursday. Rick got his yesterday. Is that right, Rick?
Thursday or Friday, I can't remember.
You got yours handy while you got some chance?
Yeah.
Go ahead and show it off real quick.
No, you're going to ruin the surprise.
Spoiler. If you ain't seen it yet, you don't know, get the hell off the channel. There you go. Jason Voorhees.
Rick, say something so that you come up on screen.
Talk, Rick.
We got Dreadnought Chaos right here.
Easy there, killer.
And we've got Dusty and Sandstorm.
He actually turned out to be a little bit better than I planned on.
Yeah.
I like the kind of the antique copper highlights on the knee pads and the paint on the weapons. It added something in terms of the palette that made it a little greater than what it originally appeared. So
yeah.
Yeah, let's
sadly, I actually traded mine off before it got here. I wasn't really a fan of that. Well, and then of course,
I don't have that in me. I wish I had that in me. I can't get rid of anything.
You're good. You're a good guy for at least following through on a trade you agreed to sight unseen. So.
Yeah, that trade was done. I think like a week before. I actually traded it for another Cobra Ice officer. So I'll have a couple of those. I'll just keep the other one carded, and then the other one. Y'all know my situation. I need the extra cash, so I sold the Dreadnought one off before it got here on a.
I'm sure that was an easy sell.
It was actually the first one to sell on eBay for $80. Oh,
nice! Yeah, good job, buddy.
I set the bar high and watch it tremble down.
It's funny. It's funny just how many people, when you post that on, now that I'm on Instagram, I'm getting a lot more engagement from the Instagram crowd than the Twitter crowd. And what I see is so many people don't know that these exist that are like casual Joe fans. So many people don't know where to get them. They don't know that they exist. It's not marketed.
The club has done a terrible job of marketing outside of the Joe community. People in the Joe community, the hardcore Joe community, are aware of the club. But it's like they haven't done any kind of outreach to people who just grew up with G.I. Joe back in the 80s, but, you know, are not on the boards, are not in this. And it's like, I think they could have done so much more.
We could do a lot better, for sure.
Yeah, you know, Rick, that's funny how you should mention that. I've noticed I'm usually bad about getting through all the social media posting when I post on one.
Yeah. And
I noticed on Instagram as well, when I posted on there, that I get, man, it just keeps notification constantly. More on Instagram than I am on Facebook. And maybe it's because we're old and Facebook is starting to phase out, I guess, a little bit more than normal. I don't know. But another thing I do want to do a shout out real quick for me and Fred both. If you're not familiar with it, you need to be. Joe Fest Toy and Comic Show is June 22nd. What's the dates on that? That's not a one-day show, is it, Fred?
Yeah, it's a one-day show.
Yeah,
one-day show.
Wow. Okay, June 22nd next year in Augusta, Georgia. It is going to be at the Doubletree in Hilton Hotel, Augusta. Me and Fred have been invited as a special guest. We don't know why. They said because of our. This is the great. Hey, when I read it, I was like, man, are they really watching our show when they say this? But it was more of the point of they said, knowing for the depth coverage of our favorite military toy. I thought we just talked a bunch of crap. Oh, my mic's breaking up. Is it still breaking up?
Yeah, you're crackling good, dude.
Really? Damn it to hell.
It's for the best.
Probably so. Y'all go ahead and talk for a minute.
But yeah, I was kind of surprised that they approached us to come to Joe Fest because Joe Fest seems like it's really stepping up as, dare I say, an heir apparent to the large-scale gathering that was JoeCon. And Ed had reached out to me a while back, and he's talked to Mike, and so because they're already lining up people now, and that's not until next June. So that says a lot, like that they're serious about really packing in some folks to this. So we'll be down in Augusta. You can come by, and if you give me crap about why I don't worship Tiger Force, because that's not without precedent, and we'll be happy to see anybody down there. We'll broadcast live again. Hopefully we'll get to see like some of the other guys that are down here on the panel too as well.
One of the things I noted about JoeCon this year was, there was a lot of talk about where people are going to go next and, what's going to develop in the future and all that. And of course, HasCon was heavily mentioned, of course, for the guys that attended that. They said it was a great experience. But the number one answer was Joe Fest. So I took a look at things and I think it's probably a good idea. The guys putting the show together are definitely engaged in the community. They love Joe as a property, so their hearts are in the right place, if nothing else. And last year's show was supposed to be a really big deal, and it was. It was way beyond their expectations for an initial offering. So I think that there's a very good chance they could step into the void that's been made by the egress of the GI Joe Collectors Club as an organized event. So,
and also, John, I think I saw an announcement about you as well there.
No announcements.
No announcement.
No, we're going to do a customizing class on Friday, the day before the day of the show. That way, you'll be able to come in, on Thursday night or Friday morning as you travel. We're still ironing out all the details, but it's a for sure thing. Class is going to run from 9 till 4. They're talking about doing some other things on Friday night afterwards, so there'll be a reason to be there besides the class. But I'll leave that to them to discuss publicly. There's the initial offering for the class is going to be 35 spaces. We got a little extra room, so if it turns out to be good and there's a quick sell through, we'll add a few more seats. But the cap is absolutely going to be 50, so bear that in mind. Tickets are going to go on sale a few months down the road after things are more ironed out and everything's kind of set in stone. But the reservations have already been made for the classroom. We're working on making sure we got all the right fixtures and such like that right now, and then we'll go from there. As far as the figure goes, I've got a couple of ideas I'm not going to discuss publicly just yet, but leaning toward doing a Joe character as opposed to a Cobra character, because I've done bad guys the last couple of years. So it will be the same format of class. There'll be supplies, and you guys will come in. You can bring some of your own stuff if you want. You'll be given figure parts that are unique to the build and stuff like that. Probably be at least 1 or 2 new sculpted pieces on there like we've done in the past. So it's not going to change much in terms of the format or anything like that. Just the location. So
very cool.
Sounds cool.
We'll see if it's cool.
I've already said I think that's the show that I'm going to do for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'm going to bring the whole family, but I'm definitely going to be there.
I'm looking forward to seeing the location. I've never been in Augusta. I've been in Atlanta a couple of times, and I've heard Augusta is a really nice place, a good town to visit. Lots of scenery and things like that. Lots of good local food flavor, which I always enjoy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and one thing I like about the concept of Joe Fest, and this is no offense to HasCon at all. HasCon is a Hasbro-run show, so there are certain things that are not going to be, seen at a Hasbro-run show. But with Joe Fest, you're going to have vendors carrying all sorts. You're going to have a lot of different vendors there. You're going to have, the artists. It's going to be closer to the JoeCon experience than maybe HasCon, which is so singularly focused.
Yeah. I understand Hasbro's point of view and
absolutely
brand their own convention. I mean, it's a multinational brand. They have shareholders to answer to and all that. And I don't have anything against it at all. I'm looking forward to eventually being able to make one of the trips and check it out and see what it's about. But the JoeCon experience is going to be hard to duplicate. But I think Joe Fest is probably the closest I'm getting to that point right now. You have other guys that are more regional, like up in your part of the world, CoilCon and things like that.
Yeah.
That are have a specific local following and things like that, and guys do travel for them. But for most collectors, it's, I won't say out of the question, but it's definitely cost and time prohibitive. So,
well, and the other thing too is it'll probably be a lot more cost effective for people to go to, because part of JoeCon, when you go to attend, there's the figure set and all that, and that. The club was the largest dealer in terms of those must-have items. Yeah, at the con, you had to drop a fair amount of cash there. It's something like Joe Fest. You have more money for dealers.
This year, to get one of each exclusive with tax was about.
It was over $600.
Yeah, it was $600. It's like $640.
It was too much, is what it was.
Now imagine going to Joe Fest with that money in your pocket for the dealer's room.
I already did the math, Brad. Already did the math. I started.
Rick's buying like freaking everything.
I started looking at it like 2 days ago, and like I could even carry my kid, so it would be 3 of us for like under $375 with a little bit of gas. It's about a 7.5 hour drive. That's not too bad for me.
Not bad.
I mean, I'm not knocking JoeCon at all. I enjoy getting the box set and the exclusives and all that kind of stuff. It really was something I enjoyed quite a bit. But it will be interesting as a vendor, from the vendor side of things, it will be interesting to see how the room responds having a little more free cash to get in there and spend. Now, this year's JoeCon was outstanding from a vendor point of view. I wish they'd all been like that. But part of the reason was everybody knew it was the last one. This was going to be their last opportunity to go in and buy some big ticket items in person. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to be interested to see how this goes. I know the local Dallas show, which isn't gigantic, but is a good regional show. I know when I go there, for the amount of time and stuff that I have to invest in getting back and forth to the show and then spend, is a fantastic return. But at the same time, Joe Lanta is a good example. I don't want to talk bad about it in a show in particular, but after I paid my expenses and stuff this year and got back like $350 in my pocket. So, that's for a 26-hour round trip. That's not a good return on your time. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy myself and didn't have fun as a fan, but as a vendor, it was much more difficult. And without good vendors, these shows are only going to be average or slightly above average. You've got to get good vendors in there to make people return. Oh, this guy's going to be there. Like say a Chris Neal. Chris Neal's there, even though he sucks up all the money out of the room. Chris,
you act like he's watching my show.
Well, he might. Who knows?
Hopefully he'll be there.
One of his multitude of cronies. When you go to Chris's booth, he's more than likely going to have that one rare item you're for. So the regional shows, you don't quite have that same experience. If I can go to a show like the Dallas show and find stuff that I need, then I consider it a success, or stuff that I'm looking for. So but Joe Lanta, I feel like, from a certain point of view, from my personal point of view, let's say, and this is not representing anybody except myself, the show organizers are still too much geared toward 12-inch stuff. That's where their passion lies, and it shows through in the way they have things organized, the way they're doing the events, the after hours events, things like that. So, is
this the show that I came down there and met up with you at?
No, the Dallas show. Yeah. That's the one I was talking about.
You're right. They were very 12-inch ornate down there.
Oh no, that's the show organizers here in Dallas are all 12-inch guys, but they're trying to bring in other stuff. I was referring to Joe Lanta, Twilanta. Yeah.
Oh, Joe Lanta always has been, I think, more 12-inch focused. Just from I've never been, but just having seen it, followed it over.
People talk about it. That's how I've always heard it. I've heard multiple people say that.
I'm kind of happy for those guys still to have a show that's
absolutely
focused for them too, because
that's pretty cool.
In our area, there is a Central Illinois G.I. Joe Collectors Club. It's run by the guy that does Patches of Pride. Yeah. So it's mostly 12-inch collectors. I'm the anomaly in the group. You're the little figure guy. But I'm still happy to see those guys get some level of attention, because John, were you at JoeCon 2005? I think it was Minneapolis in the round table.
No, I missed that one at the last minute.
There was a guy that stood up, and if you guys remember, he stood up in there and he's like, "You 3 3/4 guys think you've got it good now, but Hasbro's going to leave you." And because he was starting to see the show that he had gone to shifting in a different direction, and Hasbro was, they had done some 12-inch stuff. It was okay. So I've never forgotten that moment, and I kind of do want to see the 12-inch guys still have some presence out there, because
me too. Yeah, absolutely. That's the legacy of what we're in right now, and we're about to go through that same shift they did, where it's not the focus anymore. I assure you that whatever iteration Hasbro has for G.I. Joe the next time out, it might be the same format, but it's not going to be the same universe. And it's most likely not going to be a military fantasy related toy line, simply because it's not viable in today's marketplace. When parents aren't going to buy their kids that stuff, kids aren't interested in it because it's not electronic,
and if you read between the lines, some of the things that I've been hearing, especially during JoeCon weekend, lead me to believe exactly that.
Yeah.
If you read between the lines, I'm pretty sure we're looking at a sci-fi light military training in the background, but not the focus of the adventure.
It's not the focus of it. Yeah. And you know what? That's really, with me, that's okay, as long as the format of the figures doesn't change. I certainly don't want to start trying to buy a new scale or something like that. I've already got an established collector universe as far as what I do and what I like and what I don't like, and I don't need to do Sigma 6 scale or return to 8-inch Ego style or even 12. As much as I love some of the 12-inch offerings that have come out in the last 15 years, both from Hasbro and other companies, it's just not my cup of tea, and I can't justify the spend on it for the return of enjoyment I get. So
my whole thing is I just want to see it go back to kids, and I know that that's not a popular opinion in some collector circles. And God love him, Tom Brooks was sharing a graphic the last couple of days, a couple places where it was G.I. Joe should be designed for kids again, not for 40-year-old men exclusively. And people were blowing up at it, and they were jumping on him, but our numbers are not going to increase.
No.
We're only going to get smaller over time. If you want the brand to continue, you grow that next generation, just like Real American Hero was for us.
Right.
Let them have theirs.
Well, I've made the argument several times in several different venues that people say some guys in the fan community that are 3 3/4 people are, Hasbro's mismanaging the property, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong. And I said, listen, you need to look at the big picture. I've gone to the convention. This was my 14th or 15th, something like that, just a high number. And every year, it's very apparent that it's more or less the same group of guys coming out. You might go up 300 or down 200 or whatever, but it's the same 1,000, 1,500 people that are willing to spend the money to support the brand that they care about. And 1,500 people, and let's say throw in another 2,500 for casual fans that might or might not buy.
That's nothing.
4,000 people is not enough to support a national brand that's trying to get in every marketplace, all your Walmarts, all your Targets, all your Kmarts, all that kind of thing. It's just not going to happen.
Forget about the toys for just a second. As long as there is good new fiction, the toys will come, and not just for kids, but for everyone. We're all, if you look at the other brands, whether it's Star Wars or Transformers or whatever it is, they've got different lines for different, that's kind of what Hasbro is looking at. And Joe is probably going to be exactly the same way once it's reintroduced. The fiction will come first. Always the fiction will come first. But without new fiction and without marketing, kids aren't going to find it. They have to come up with a good marketing plan.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I was just saying the fiction, for me, most of us wouldn't be here talking and people wouldn't be listening or watching if it wasn't for the fiction. So if they can get their fiction straight, because comic books, the comic's great. I know some of us collect the comic. I love the comic. And that's great, but comic books and kids today, and you guys know.
You got to figure out how to reach the children. You got to figure out what that market is and what type of media you want to stress your property for that type of media.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you want to look at a good example of that being well done over the last, say, 7 or 8 years, the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff is fantastic. Kids love the cartoon. Yep. It was a solid hit with younger children. And because of that, the figures, which were very reminiscent of what you saw on the screen, flew off the shelves. There's peg warmers like there is in every line. But if you went and looking for somebody, like say a Usagi Yojimbo or something like that, you weren't going to find it unless you just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And that speaks volumes to what was right about that, what was done well.
And they
put the time in too.
With releases, kind of like what Kirk did back in the day. Is it would come out, but then they would open the comic in the cartoon.
Great, that's a great point, Fred.
John's point's exactly right. When I would be watching the show, I watched Turtles here and there. I was casual with it, but Usagi's in an episode. Holy crap! And I knew to start hitting the stores to try to find him because he's coming. And that's whatever format that they do that with. That it's going to be it's going to be adapted, like Skinny said, to the media of today to connect with kids.
Okay, I know we were completely off the rails talking about Ninja Turtles. So are you telling me that this hot garbage that they're giving us now is towards the kids and screw the adults? Because I will not watch that dumpster fire of a show.
But you know what?
It's 2012. I watched it. I watched every episode. I recorded it.
Yeah, I think that's what John was saying. I think John was just saying, here's a perfect case sample of they put the time in on the style of the Turtles, the animation, the voice acting, the story, it hit on all cylinders, and Fred backed it up with also the marketing was hitting at the same exact time on all cylinders. Could the paint have been better? Could we nitpick? Yes. But overall, I think that's a perfect case sample.
Okay, go back to what John started off. Were you talking about the old 1990s Turtles, or are you talking about the 2012 Turtles?
Talk about the 2012 stuff, the Nickelodeon stuff. Yeah.
Okay, not the forthcoming Turtles, not the cell animated. John, you were talking about the CGI.
Yeah, the line that just ended. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because that new stuff, I mean, that is 100%. That is towards children. I mean, I know we're completely off script on this.
But this is all relevant. I mean,
it is absolutely.
Think about it. You know, when I remember it was right before I moved back to Illinois. Fox Kids had their Ninja Turtle series, which was the second animated series to happen after the original 1990s one.
Is that the one with Venus de Milo?
No, that was the live action. This is one that went, and it led into Fast Forward was the final little bit of it. But this Fox Kids Turtle series, man, they pulled storylines right out of the old comic. So they had stuff for adults who had grown up with the Turtles, but it was geared heavily to kids. They had a figure line. They had the Triceraton arc. They did so many things right with it. And then Nickelodeon bought Turtles right, I think it was around the end of that show's era. And then that's when the one that John referenced, the next one that came out, launched. But again, each Turtles incarnation has some similarities to the previous. You know, there are some common elements, but they change it for the kids of that era. The reason I like the Fox Kids one, and I really found it to be like almost a perfect balance, that much like the Nick series, there was stuff in there for adults. You know, the parents who have kids now, who the kids might not know about Turtles, but hey, let's watch this together kind of situation.
As a modern parent, you're going to get dragged into watching those shows. So there should hopefully be something to give you a little fun.
Right.
But to John's point, again, there was also stuff for the kids. You know, I watched one of the Nick Turtles episodes because the actor James Hong played a character ridiculously similar to David Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China, one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yes.
And they did Big Trouble in Little China with the Turtles and Casey Jones, and I was loving it. So,
and that's one of those things. Obviously, a child's not going to get that movie reference. It's that movie's 30 years old now, 35 years old.
33.
Yeah, so a kid's not going to get that. But the parents that are having to sit there and watch over little Johnny's shoulder while he jumps up and down in front of the TV is going to be like, "Oh, that's funny. This isn't a total waste of my time."
Look at Looney Tunes back in the day. So Looney Tunes is, the original Looney Tunes cartoons. Kids watched them at one level, but if you go back and watch some of those as an adult, holy crap, is there some serious subtext all the way through. And some of it's highly political and some of it's controversial, but little kids are too busy watching, Bugs Bunny, give Elmer Fudd the ultimate wedgie, and they're not picking up on that the adults were. So what they had created inadvertently was a multi-generational property that you could watch over and over. And that's one of the things I know it's kind of cool to poo-poo on Sunbow, but even Sunbow at times did little things like that here and there. And I found it, that I can still go back and watch Sunbow as an adult and still enjoy most of it.
Right.
Unlike Deke, which totally pandered to kids and is unwatchable garbage now.
I don't have a great frame of reference on the cartoons because when they were new, I was football practice, high school, all that kind of stuff. I was a little older than the target audience. So when you guys wax poetic like you just did, I'm kind of tuned out. So sorry.
Well, they did have an episode, Most Dangerous Thing in the World, which was Cobra figured out, okay, we're going to break into the G.I. Joe computers and we're going to promote Shipwreck, Lifeline, and Dial Tone, the three biggest screw-ups you have in the line. And what basically they did is they just about ended G.I. Joe right then and there because, you know, Shipwreck was saying, oh, the whale's the best thing and we're going to use the whale. And Lifeline's like, you can't shoot anybody with these choppers. and Dial Tone was just being Dial Tone. So again, you got that lesson that, okay, some people are cut out for stuff and some people aren't. And that's what Hawk said at the end, you know.
Yeah.
See, I tuned. That was a great exposition, but I just tuned all of that right out.
Okay, so we are gonna hog-tie John at Joe Fest and put on those little things like in Clockwork Orange and make him watch Sunbow for like 8 hours.
If it's not comic continuity, oh, holy crap, do I not care.
And actually, that's a good point, too. Rick talked about having a good fiction, and Skinny had mentioned having something that's applicable to the kids of today. One of the most brilliant things I think A Real American Hero did is they really had two fictions.
Yeah.
They reached different audiences. So there was enough commonality between the two that if you went from one to the other, you could pick up pretty quickly. But the comic was clearly geared to an older audience, while the cartoon was geared to the kids coming home from school, you know, and, you know, I've been at school all day. I need to watch some red lasers versus blue lasers. and there was enough cohesion between the two that they both strengthened the brand.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant.
Having somebody kind of steer the ship is going to be so important for G.I. Joe in this relaunch. And I'm not just talking about the toys, but just the marketing in general, and getting, whether it's kids or adults, just making sure the word gets out in the best of ways. They can't take shortcuts, and it may look like a good idea to take shortcuts because maybe they're just not sure about whatever the media is. They're like, well, we shouldn't go heavy on this. You need to make sure that whatever you do is make good decisions with the media that you're putting out.
Don't let focus groups direct everything that you do. Maintain some of your artistic integrity.
Yes.
And actually, don't let the film studio direct everything.
Most important.
Most
important.
Because I've seen this with, even I look at like, okay, I'm a big Marvel nut, so I watch a lot. I watch any Marvel animation that's on.
Yeah.
And they would launch a new Marvel cartoon series, and then they'd have to yank the rug out from under it a couple of times because it didn't align with what the next movie incarnation of those characters were. And, you know, I think let Hasbro kind of set the tone and the direction, and let, if they're going to do a film, work with the studio, but don't have it be like Rise of Cobra, where in many ways Paramount's direction dictated the direction for the brand.
Yeah. Yeah, that was unfortunate in some of the, strictly talking about action figures, that was unfortunate in some of the design choices and color palettes and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, you walk away from the things that make these characters unique visually, not just you know, in terms of the characterization. But anyway, that's water under the bridge. I did want to give a little shout out to Larry Hama, being a comic book guy. You know, my whole G.I. Joe collecting career, if you want to call it that. Larry, thanks. I really appreciate the fact that you used adult language in the comics, because I had to look up so many words that I ended up adding to my own vocabulary that you used there. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
I mean, I thought you came out of the room talking like that.
No, it's a learned thing, Mike. Well, you know, when you crack a book, crack a book.
It goes back to a quote from Christopher Eccleston when he took over in Doctor Who, and I've mentioned it on the show before. He talked about when they were expressing, that Doctor Who is a children's program, and he says if you give kids good things to watch and to view, they will come up to the material. If you pander down to them, they'll lose interest and they'll drift away.
Yeah.
And Larry never pandered to us once in that comic, and right down to that moment with Roadblock and the guy who was going to burn the flag, and talk about not pandering to kids. The whole, when Roadblock is gonna, he said he's gonna turn the guy, if he lights that flag on fire, he's gonna reduce his head to a fine red mist. And that guy looks him straight in the eye and he goes, "Why? People are stealing typewriters and they're stealing all this. What do you care?" And Roadblock says, and I remember it to this day, "No one ever died for a typewriter." And I'm like, damn, he hits you right over the head with the soldier's perspective and what the flag means to them.
It was it was apparent from the very first issue, you know, in the incident inside the tank after they've recovered Dr. Burkhart, and Stalker has to chew one of the team members out for saying, hey, you know, you need to 86 that attitude because we fight for her right to disagree. So that's that right off the bat, he set the tone, and it was great. So I appreciate the fact that happened. I hope it continues to happen. So
here's something I've been noticing a lot of people getting these Reebok G.I. Joe shoes.
They don't come in fat guy wide widths, so you know I'm out.
Yeah, I know we're SOL.
Whoa. I've got a pair. Oh, I got a pair. They fit. First of all, I don't have fat feet. I'm just big bone. My shoes came in.
Put down the triple cheeseburger. Put down the triple cheeseburger.
They fit perfectly and they're comfortable. I'd heard somebody say order a size up. I usually wear an 11 in tennis shoe, and I got an 11 and they fit perfectly. So
you're gonna wear them out and about? Special
occasions.
Well, they are one of Reebok's oldest designs in terms of athletic shoe. Yeah. So yeah, they probably would skew a little wider, I'd imagine. But yeah, I wear like a triple E. There's no way they're gonna fit my foot.
And they're sold out of a lot of the bigger sizes now.
Oh yeah. They went really fast. I mean, I think it's a cool looking shoe. Very interesting design perspective. I think I might have preferred McLeod's Euro Tiger Force stuff. Yep. If I'm gonna wear something that loud, I'm all about it.
Man, tell you what, you notice how he tagged me and you both in that. He was like, "Hey, check this out." I was like, "Holy shit, I want these."
Yeah, they were fantastic.
He did them on some Jordans, the best shoe ever made. So
the cool thing was that the Tiger Force Blizzard ones. Just think about it; you wouldn't have to worry about walking through the yellow snow.
Poor Blizzard.
You know, my kid's seen some of the Sunbow stuff, and obviously a ton of figures in my house.
Yeah.
So the shoes come in, and his first response was, "Dad, where'd you get those roadblock shoes? Oh my God, they're so cool!" And I'm like, "I am so proud of you right now." I was just like, I mean, like this kid gets it. I'm like, he's so detail oriented. You know, he's going on 6, but such a proud moment. Which was funny because then another buddy of mine said something about roadblock shoes. I'm like, you and my kid, he's 5. You guys have something in common. So, but he wants a pair. So they talk about a little bit of marketing, right? A little bit of imagine if we could get back to that point where you can have you go in Target and there is a Scarlet shirt, a Stalker shirt, a Snake Eyes shirt, a Cobra Eel shirt for me. And wouldn't that be amazing?
Birthday party supplies.
Yes. That's where it would be really fun to get back to that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what surprises me is, okay, so my better half is like a diehard Hallmark person. So today being the first of the ornament days, we went to well, but hold on. So we go into Hallmark, and over the last couple years, they have had cartoon animated Masters of the Universe ornaments. Right. They have had toy accurate Transformers ornaments. They have had Gem. They have had Rainbow Bright. They have had Barbie. And she looked at me and she said, "Why have they never done a Cobra Commander?" And I went, "Oh my God, I need a Sunbow Cobra Commander on the Christmas tree." And that hit me over the head.
These guys.
Yeah, they've done. So Hasbro has a relationship with them.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's like G.I. Joe, even the cartoon side of it. It's like for some reason Hasbro just isn't doing anything with it.
Well, I would go deep on Hallmark G.I. Joe ornaments, Hasbro. Imagine having like a flag or a Defiant that played the theme song, and you bring it out at Christmas. I'm taking the star down off the top, and I'm putting on whatever I need to put that's Joe at the top.
Rick, I would be so screwed because my better half never read the comics, but we watched Sunbow start to finish.
Yeah.
And her favorite character was Cobra Commander, like by far. She's like, Cobra Commander, Destro. We're standing there in line and she is rattling off all the figures that she would buy. And she's like, "Why isn't there Duke?" And she said, "And that guy that looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin that you liked." And I'm like, "No." And, and it would be cool to tie into, again, to do just lean into the animated style or do the ones like the Transformers where they're based on the toy design And I don't care if they have the little, the little fake rivet in the arm and all
Right.
that. That would be fun.
It
Get
was-
Cobra Commander a globe and have the globe spinning in his hand.
Oh,
Oh my God. Skinny has the $1 million idea right there.
I was just going to ask. I was going to
Let's
ask.
make it
Hey,
happen.
buddy. I see you're wearing the flag cap that Troy McKee and them did.
Actually, I had this one made years before that.
Oh, did you?
Yep, I called up a place that does hats for actual Navy vets, and they said, "Can you do the Nimitz and just put USS Flag and say USS Nimitz on there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
I was just going to say, you did see that Funko is doing some shirts for SDCC this year, and they've got that particular design on a shirt. I just want to point that out since we're talking marketing stuff.
Yeah. It's important.
I'm happy.
But
to
then
see-
there's the posters this year for San Diego Comic Con.
Oh
too.
yeah, those silk screen prints, those look
Very nice.
fantastic. Yeah, super Art Deco, circa 1939, 1942.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
They're crazy limited, and that's like the same thing with the Funko pop-up shop stuff. It's like I'm happy to see Joe getting some representation. I just wish it was at the Hasbro booth.
Well, I've got friends that are going to SDCC, and I usually have them pick me up whatever I want. But the t-shirts and stuff, I'd absolutely be interested in. But I know they're not going to have fat guy size. They never. Never. I mean, like Joe Con, the shirts that I got were special ordered in fat guy size. So it's I call it a gamer extra large.
Okay, but extra large.
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
Do you think that anybody from Kotobukiya is going to announce anything at San Diego Comic Con? We know who the characters are going to be, but we haven't seen any images yet.
Oh, I'm interested in that. You've got my attention. I think the only thing I'm looking for this year out of SDCC, I don't know about you guys, is that reaction box with the transparent red Hellboy 3.75 figure.
Oh yeah, the collector case.
Yeah, that's really, really retro. I dig it.
Hell yeah, that's taking me back to.
Don't know what I'm going to do with it. Well, yeah, like remember the generic space case that had like random stuff on the front of it.
I still have one in my basement, John.
See?
It's got a mixture of Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, and a few Star Wars, all in the same case.
What? No black hole figures?
You know what? All I had was
black hole
all I had was
figures.
Maximilian, and my buddy who lived next door lit him on fire.
What?
I'm not kidding.
It's a beating.
I still don't.
Then I took his old Bob and threw it on the roof, and now I'm kicking myself for it.
I still haven't. I've never owned an old Bob or a Star, and or the humanoid. Those are the three. But I just can't at this point. Man, they're great figures, but they're so expensive.
Oh.
I've had cast of that blaster for the Star for years, and I keep it in the cases as like 5 copies or something. And people look at, oh, this is a cool looking gun. I'm like, if you only knew how rare that was.
Yeah.
They're the Kubrick figures from a few years ago. If you like black hole stuff, check it out.
Yeah.
The old Bob, the Maximilian.
I got the old Bob. Yeah, I like old Bob, but I can't afford the original one.
No,
I mean, I can, but it's not my. When it's down the list a little bit. I hate. You know how it is.
It's on your list. It's just at the bottom of the list.
Right.
it's on the list next to a part where it says, she'll divorce you if I get it.
Probably.
It's one of those pieces where it's like, yes, I can afford it, but would I rather put all of this into one thing, or maybe put less and get 3 or 4 other things that I also like to
sounds strangely familiar, Fred. Yeah, Fred. That sounds strangely familiar.
I hear you.
A whole lot of money into one thing, or spread it around the love.
Hey, I gotta say though, that car. John's talking about the Diamond Select Knight Rider with Michael Knight, and you know what though? That car, just the car.
It's cool.
Is amazing, and I ended up getting car as well as kit, and man, I'll tell you, it's the second car paint job, so he's got the gray stripe.
Yeah,
but it makes me so freaking happy. Oh, go ahead, Skinny. I'm sorry.
I said, if they do Goliath, are you going to get Goliath?
Oh, hell yeah.
Most likely.
We just went down the nerdiest hole, folks. We just went down. And the bad thing is, most of us know exactly what they're talking about.
I would buy 11 Miles action figure. I would get both April and Bonnie. I would get Garth Knight because he was supposed to come out with Car, and they didn't. And I would even buy that chick Adrian that was in the Return of Goliath. Oh, original Knight Rider's a dark hole.
You know, I have the Back to the Future 2 DeLorean as well, and those are
the best one.
All of them are nice toys, man.
The
Knight Rider, or the kit that he's talking about that we're both discussing, is the Entertainment Earth exclusive that was offered around the same time, that came with an exclusive 3 3/4 inch Michael Knight figure. It's stupid rare, and also getting stupid expensive. So
yeah, I saw you post some up close pictures of it, and I'm like, wow! I was wondering how much you paid, and because the face looked a little jacked up on it.
It's heart attack money. Yeah.
John, if you want to get the other good vehicle to go with it, track down from the movie line the A-Team van.
Got it already.
Because it was 1/18th. It's like all my 80s cars. All I need is Airwolf in the background, and I'm done.
I still have an Ecto 1.
Here's a question I got for everybody, because people were talking about it in the chat. If you were able to get one item this year from San Diego, what would it be?
That's a tough call. I mean, like I said, there's not a lot that appeals to me. Go ahead. You got something specific?
Yes, what you got? Huh?
Don Moreno.
Oh, are you talking about stuff that's actually being offered, or stuff that we would want to have offered? Because that's almost too much.
Stuff that's actually being offered this year at San Diego. Stuff that you can get either at San Diego, or you're going to pay ass raping prices on eBay afterwards.
Yeah.
Man,
for the record, Skinny, I'm with you on that. I tried to raise that question too to Larry Hama and see if there had been any discussion about a topic that obviously he's really into right now, and the powers that be at Hasbro. But I don't think he understood my question when I asked.
Let me name drop. I've got a good friend who does digital sculpting, who did a really nice custom version of her that's an original sculpt of the head and torso that's made to go with Marauder Task Force stuff. Yeah, you might want to give a look at some of that.
I've probably seen it. I know I've commented on a few of them. I don't know if I've seen this one or not.
I'm sure you have. But I'm not gonna name drop exactly, because I don't want the guy to get in a lot of trouble. Obviously, the fame would hurt him, but you can find it out there. Just the tiniest bit of searching. So
I need one, and I'm willing to pay.
I got one. I was like, you got to sell me one. Well, I need to sell them on the floor. Here's $40. Just give me one. Okay.
To get back to the Comic-Con
we need to talk after, John.
To get back to the Comic-Con question from the chat, though, I got to say I would be with what John said earlier. It's that reaction case with A, it comes with Hellboy, and B, it's very, very retro. So of all the, because this year there's not a lot of exclusives that have really made me go, ooh, I got to get that. Maybe that Transformers Optimus Primal, maybe.
That's the number one thing on my list, is that right there. Because that there is a badass monkey.
Garbage figure, garbage property.
I'm kind of with Fred. Okay. I'm with Fred on this, but I end up in Mike's camp, because I don't think that there's anything this year that, which is great for me. I love that I'm not going to be buying $500 worth of like overpriced exclusives. I'm glad.
F5 all the time on HTS.
Yeah, I'm just not that person. I don't like climbing that mountain. Just don't do it. But to Mike's point, Transformers wise, I collect that line, and I kind of want that figure. Is it the best figure ever? No. Is it even the best repaint ever? No. I would have went in a completely different color palette and done something they had done before, but nope. I guess that's my number one.
The cool thing on that one is that it has the special
the scepter in the back,
the scepter and the Tide Masters, and then it has the crown.
The packaging is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just all about the color. He looks like classic Primal to me.
You bought people. You let me know when they get to Ultra Mammoth, and I might be there.
There you go.
Yeah.
And,
much better idea.
Of course, a lot of the Transformer fans are upset because they're like, well, I collect all the Tide Masters, and you're telling me the only way I can get these last four is buying this overpriced monkey. So a lot of them are really upset on that. We talked about that on a Galactic Gumbo, I think, or no, Cybercast last week.
I'll buy their Optimus Primal if they just want to buy it for the damn little things that I wouldn't use and throw away.
See, that's what a lot of people were like.
The Titan Headmasters, I'll take them.
I don't give a crap.
I actually collect those guys.
Well, they're not actually headmasters. They're Power of the Prime. What are those things really called, Rick?
Prime Masters.
Yeah.
Is it the Prime Masters? But they're not actually a headmaster. They fit like a headmaster, but they're not meant for a headmaster.
Yeah, they fit in little sockets.
They don't call them.
Still interested. If it's a transformer and it's under 3 3/4 inches or smaller, I usually am interested in those.
Well, you've heard about the Micromasters coming up, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You let me know when they get to Action Masters, and I'll be all in.
You'll come in, and a lot of people are exiting the building, which is good for you because you'll be able to find them on the show.
That's right. I won't be able to get the last 2 waves because they'll get canceled before they hit production. But hey,
I got a question. This is another big toy question. So even though I saw Daryl multiple times, I know most of us got a chance to talk to him. Did anyone ask him about HasLab? I just clean forgot because it was JoeCon and everybody was, well, everyone knows it was very busy.
I didn't hear anybody about HasLab whatsoever while I was there. And usually, in passing, you at least pick up something, or at least
I wish I had asked him if anybody gets him back on a show, whether you're watching the show or whether it's this show. If anybody gets a moment with him, I want to know about HasLab as far as like
is he
the
going to go forward?
Even if Bobby has, I know Bobby probably can't share, but anybody who has any, are there conversations being had for 2020 is not that far away. And obviously there's a few things at the top of everybody's, when you talk toys, you got Jabba's sail barge, which had never been made, but obviously Unicron from the Transformers universe. And then there's multiple things on the Joe end. USS Flag's probably the first one. Defiant, all those things.
We're not big enough.
No.
Honestly, I mean, when you talk HasLab prices, you're talking a small percentage of any of that particular fan base that's willing to spend that.
Yeah.
So you go to Star Wars, which has a huge fan base. A small percentage of Star Wars is still a large number of people, and it took them a while to get to their funding level.
Does anybody know the number right off, so I don't have to get up and go across the room? Does anybody remember the number? Was it 5,000? What was the number?
Yeah, I think it was.
It was limited, but I can't remember the number.
Yeah.
Five sounds.
Joe
sounds
has
right.
not had an exclusive in those numbers in a long time.
No, not even close. Yeah.
I mean, I know there are people out there that are like, yeah, they need to do the Terrordrome. They need to do a much bigger Defiant. I think we all want. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing is don't. It's okay to say we're never going to get it, but make sure that we're also saying, "Wow, we'd be really interested." I want to make sure that people know how interested the community it would be.
If you look at the map, you just can't make it add up and make sense to Joe collectors, though. Is the problem?
Yeah, and I'm cool with that, and I completely get it. But I want to make sure that we always talk about the interest.
Oh yeah, I would be interested in anything they're willing to offer. As a collector. But the thing is, you can, say they're going to offer a Terrordrome and it's $500 and they need X number of people to buy in. Okay,
that's cheap for it too.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, for $350, I can go out and buy a really nice mint one that is virtually no different. Same thing with a flag. For $500, you can go out and get a pretty decent flag that's mostly complete and piece the rest of it together.
Back a few months ago, John, when I ran that poll, remember that I did actually talk to Daryl about that, and that was his main concern. Is why would we make something like the flag or the Terrordrome or the Defiant when someone can go out and get one off of eBay?
Yeah.
And that was his exact point.
I could see the Defiant possibly simply because it is so hard to find a good solid example. Those blue doors, you look at them.
And my first thing to Daryl would be, because I want to be able to play with it and not break it in the first 2 seconds. The Defiant can't hold its own weight on the wheels. My kid can't play with it. I would love something that I could put in front of him for Christmas morning one year and give him something extra special that he can play with. My problem is you can't really play with some of the bigger things. The flag, the Terrordrome, mostly, not all of it. Also, the plastic is deteriorating. I don't think those are viable options anymore. Yeah. It's fine for me. It's fine for me as an adult, but that's a small number. I'm talking about something bigger, especially if they get their fiction together. I think for me, it's more about the future and not reacting to.
Well, that kind of runs counter to everything that
affairs.
HasLab is about, though, is because HasLab is absolutely aimed at collectors like you and I, who have the pocketbook to spend on that, though. For
now, but I think with someone like looking at kids now and what they can buy, there's such a limited market for like the bigger items, and the brick and mortar stores, they're going away. We're watching them die bit by bit. The shelf space to carry like a big play set and stuff, those are going the way of the dinosaur. They're just going.
And you know
away.
what? One of the things too I was thinking about, and this, Rick, it was your comments that kind of made me realize this. As Joe collectors, we were pretty spoiled with some of the things we got. Star Wars never had a playset this, like a Terradrome. They had the Death Star, but that was it. The Terradrome being a full 360 playset. The Defiant. Nobody had anything like the Flak.
Well, the thing that made that more viable at the time was the fact that they owned the brand. It wasn't a license. There wasn't a license. They didn't, that kind of thing. One of the things that Rick said that struck home with me, though, and I take your point of view, this is just a way of illustrating it, is putting together my vintage Star Wars collection. Instead of going out and finding a vintage 77, 78 Farm Boy Luke and things like that, I went and got the 95 re-releases because the plastic is 30 years newer. It's not going to yellow, and they're functionally the same. So I can appreciate that point of view, wanting something that's going to have an extended life, is going to be much more well designed in terms of playability, and not going to have like like your Terradrome in the back. The hinges on the doors aren't going to crack.
Yeah, exactly.
The gun placements aren't going to break. That kind of thing. I get that. You could if you were to revisit something like the Defiant, you could absolutely design around the problems that became apparent over time that weren't necessarily apparent at the beginning. So as a fan, I'd love to see that. But as a realist, I just don't see any way they can make it possible, unfortunately. And like you said, I don't want to discourage anybody or anything like that. If the opportunity ever pops up, I'm willing to put cash on the line and try to.
There you go. Yeah.
Just to clarify, Daryl was not posing that question in a negative light. He was legitimately asking the question. He wanted to find out why someone would want to.
And then I think Rick had a good point. Then it's the plastic being
they're deteriorating. I'm a person who, and Fred has brought this up multiple times. Like, I'll buy something that's been boxed for 30 to 40 years, and I'll open it up, and I want that experience. That's part of how I collect. It's it's having the experience that I didn't have as a kid, with some of the bigger items, and whether it's the whale, the Terradrome, or whatever it is, there's something about doing it for the first time. But what I found is, and it's not just Joe, it's just Transformers, the Pretenders are a big, the big deteriorating plastic monster as well. Yeah,
don't the little monsters, they all discolor and turn funny colors and stuff?
They can. If they were ever exposed to, high heats, low temperatures, humid, you might be running into some issues. So you have to be real careful. But especially the Joe stuff, man. Lately I've been like extra careful with stuff. But my favorite thing was I bought, this was probably a decade ago, I bought a boxed Stun, and my favorite thing ever is opened it up, cracked the tape for the first time, and it all rolls out, and the red flags rolled out in 8 pieces. All of the red flags, they had deteriorated like years ago, sitting in the box, and the sticker sheet had actually, you know what? I've only had 2 really bad experiences out of maybe 20, so that's not too bad. But the sticker sheet was stuck to the instructions, and everything was completely, like, both parts were completely worthless.
Yeah, the plastic those Stun flags are made out of was used across the entire line as history. The Pack Rats are a good example of the same exact thing. I opened up my 3rd flamethrower trying to get one put together complete, and because of the design of the legs, they're snapped. Either in the box or going to snap immediately after you put them on. So
now maybe that would be the HasLab way to go. And I just maybe this is completely off base, but what if they could do a complete, and I'm the guy that wants to move the brand forward as opposed to keep rehashing, but maybe it would be the equivalent of a HasLab thing where it would be a new product, but we got it so that it was the experience we had when we were kids. You know, you got it and it was in a box and you assembled it yourself with new decals instead of buying something where it's completely.
Yeah. See, for me, like I'm watching now that I have a kid and he's 5. I watched him the last 2 years, and I'll probably be watching him for a while. As soon as he got into Lego, I noticed like the back and forth between like a G.I. Joe figure, a Transformer figure, and Lego. And the building experience is such a huge thing for Lego, and obviously Lego knows what they're doing. They've been #1 now for a few years. Yeah. So obviously their product reaches all kinds of age groups too. Talk about the marketing. Look at what they've done with the licensing and things in the last decade. They know how to run a tight ship. But the building experience is a big part. And I think for me, because I'm a vehicle guy, and the action figures, for me, at least currently the way I'm collecting, they're a big part of it, but they come second. I like building the vehicles a whole lot.
Shut your mouth.
I love building the vehicles.
And that's what the line in the 82 line was originally going to be, a primarily vehicle line.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that so many of us have the attachment we do, maybe one of the factors of it was not only did you get, like for me, not only was it that I get the Vamp and realize that it's the greatest Joe land vehicle ever made, but that I had to put it together. So I was more invested in that toy.
Yes.
Like I got a Mobat as a kid, but the Mobat was already assembled and it was motorized. It was a little
Mauler.
But I never had that tie to the Mobat that I did the Vamp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I put my damn Vamp together and I loved that thing, and it was my favorite vehicle for, you know, still is.
Yeah. Let me just a side anecdote. You know, with the Western line for Legends of the West, or Dime Novel Legends, I've been going back and collecting some of the precursor Western lines. And I recently just bought, like right after I got home from JoeCon, I bought something I've been lusting after for a long time. It was a sealed in the box Legends of the West Fire Wagon from 1980, and it's going to be that same experience. Oh yeah, it wasn't that expensive either. I was like, what? So it's going to be that same experience of being able to open it. This is, take everything off the sprues, trim it up, and then put it together. So the only reason I'm putting it off is I'm saving the sticker sheet to scan it in before I do.
Smart. Very smart.
So I appreciate what that provides with the experience, and how as a teenage collector, since I was a little older than some of the other guys who were interested in buying Joe, actually a lot older. I was in junior high school as a buyer. I appreciate what that provides in the experience, but you shut your mouth about talking.
And the funny thing too, Kirk also said when I've talked to him, he'll always tell you that another side effect of having us put it together was it kept their costs down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So we were outsourced as labor, but at the same time we were more invested in it because we put it together. The downside of that today, I can see the fail of that today, and probably why so many of the modern vehicles have come mostly assembled, is liability. People are suit happy. So little Johnny cuts his finger with his safety scissors somehow.
Oh yeah,
trimming a part off a sprue.
Right.
I'm sure that does have something to do with it. It's one of the few things I missed about JoeCon vehicles for the last several years is sticker sheets. Most of the decals were tampoed on, and I kind of missed that about those. So
that's why I like the Comic-Con exclusives.
Yeah,
with the exception of no step. Hey, I've done 28, and I've done one wing of the Sky Striker.
Katrina, you can thank her for that boss fight.
Why has no one ever made a T-shirt for a JoeCon that just says no step? And
that'd be great.
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I think people, and only Joe fans will get it. Only Joe fans will look at that and go, oh,
That's the thing. That's when I got that pair. I know we're all over the place, but just bear with me. I got that pair of shoes this week, and it's not something that I normally do.
Please tell me they said no step on the bottom.
Oh God, if they did, that would be great. That would be amazing. But what I was thinking is, Star Wars, they have all these different, shoes with design cues for all these different characters, whether you're a Fett fan or an X-Wing Luke fan or a Stormtrooper or Vader fan. I'm like, will I ever live to see where Joe is marketed so heavily that there are actual shoes,
shoes
with all the design cues that we love for those, for the shoe line. It's nice that we got that pair of shoes. I think that's awesome. But as soon as I got it, my brain just works like that. And I'm like, man, I wish I could have a shoe for every day of the week, right?
What's this strange Star Wars you speak of? What is that?
Oh, they make, they're I don't know if it was Adidas or I can't remember who it was, but if you go on eBay, you can find something for like $400 or $500. They have all these shoes that they made for Star Wars, licensed, and they have all these design cues, colors, for all these different characters. So if you want your Boba Fett, shoes, and some of them you can easily tell who it is, and you get into like something like a Dagobah Yoda or something like, you get into the stuff because it went pretty deep, and some of them who it is right away. Some of them is a little bit of a reach, but I just can't imagine if we as Joe fans were spoiled to the point where we could go in and like, oh, I want some, Cover Girl shoes this week, and I want that leather and a little bit of fur on the top. What can I get?
Possibly the most disturbing sentence ever said.
Right.
A little bit of leather and fur on top.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ, what are we talking about?
I appreciate that aside and explanation, but the sarcasm flew right over your pointy hairdo.
John, Star Wars was an obscure film that came out in like '77, around the time of Battle Beyond the Stars.
Right.
And,
nice reference. Yes.
Here's something I want to go back to about JoeCon. A lot of people didn't know. John, you did the customizing head, hat, and legs for Hardball. What's the update on those? Do you still have some? You gonna sell some more, recast some more? What's the deal?
Yeah, I'll be making more. There's about 25 of the head and hat combos, and then about the same of just the baseball caps. I've had a few people reach out. They're asking about them, and obviously I'll be happy to help you out. The legs and stuff, I haven't gotten back to doing assembly on stuff yet, and obviously they have to be put together before I can send them out. But there will be more of those coming. If you want them, they will be available. It's just a matter of time. Right now, so much stuff over the last several, 4 or 5 months got let go here at home, and other projects that I'm working on, like the Cowboys and stuff, that I had to stop and have spent the last several days just kind of focusing down on getting those taken care of before I move on to the fun stuff like GI Joe related things that I want to do. So, but
you do have some available that people can reach out and get like
yeah. You can just hit me up on Facebook. I've got the heads and the head and hat combo. They're not expensive, and shipping is like $3 or something. So
yeah, I ended up picking up a set. I haven't done my legs yet, but I got the head. Of course, it took me a minute to get that damn head on there, but I had to turn them upside down and press down to get them on.
The heads, I cast them in hard resin, not flexible resin, so that they hold the paint better. Because flex resin, obviously it flexes and the paint could crack and pop off. The hard resin, all you've got to do to get that to fit on there properly is just heat it up. I use an electric griddle because you can control the temperature more exactly than you can with, say, hot water or whatever. So just take the head, set it on the electric griddle. Once it's warm enough, just pop it on there once or twice, off and on, and it will fit just fine. So sorry you had a problem with that. I hope you liked that paint job. That was
I love that. The head in just general was a 1,000% upgrade from what we got, in my opinion. Even if you don't want to get the head for you can always use a matte tracker head.
Yeah.
But the hat is specially casted by you, which was a good. I mean, now there was someone else who did do a casted hat, but the color was way off.
Well, you know what's funny about the color is I was just guessing and on the blue, and I happened to get it pretty close to right on almost all of them. It's not exactly perfect, but it's within a half a shade.
Yeah. It's really close.
Got lucky.
I mean, unless you're looking at a Pantone book, I mean, seriously, it's really close. And I thought that the fit was perfect, which is important.
Did you get just the stock hat or the hat and head?
Both, and the legs.
Okay, the just the hat by itself has been resized to fit the larger head that comes on the club figure. If you buy the head and hat, that hat could fit it, but it's not going to necessarily be the right fit for it. So
mine was perfect
sizes. So
yeah. Speaking of hats, by the way, did anybody buy the hat at the con?
Slagter.
So with Sergeant Slogter's hats, did they tell you when you bought a Slogter's hat that you were going to get a corrected hat later? Because I saw that the club sent the email out that they've got corrected hats now.
Oh, okay.
So if you bought a hat, they're going to ship that hat out to you.
Yeah.
And I guess you get to keep the other one. That'll be a collector's item now.
I am shocked as hell that they did that in the last year.
Yeah.
Here's something that's a little upsetting. I think maybe not, but the Homeland Hero sets are going to be delayed until the new heads come in.
I think I mentioned
they've been delayed.
I think I mentioned on the page when you said that, Mike. If the shoe was on the other foot and I couldn't attend and I had to buy the Home Foot Heroes package, I would rather go ahead and get the whole thing together with corrected heads. That's fine by me. I know some people are anxious and they want to go ahead and get it in, and those are the guys that are going to be a little upset about it. But hopefully they'll see that this is a more sure way to make sure that you get the corrected parts with your set. Because something could get missed, in the paperwork if they send the box sets out now and then try to follow up with the heads later.
Yeah,
something could get missed. You could move. A million things could go wrong. So this cuts that out and speaking on as a devil's advocate for the club, this cuts shipping and time and stuff like that for shipping out.
Absolutely.
Cost, materials, packaging. So I can understand some guys being anxious and wanting their stuff. I mean, I've got stuff here that I still need to get sent out for people I picked up. But at the same time, it's better to get it in shape and in the right way, and cut out any possibility for error where possible, I think. But like I said, I can understand how some people would be upset or in a hurry or anxious. Those are the collectors that are just looking to check something off a list. They're not actually looking forward, I think, to really putting their hands on it and enjoying it beyond the initial blush. So anyway,
one thing I was going to say is, of course, I don't ever get to go through every single thing I get from JoeCon. I think I mentioned it in the last episode, but I don't remember. But when I'd already packed up everybody else's stuff that I got and mailed some of it out before I actually even went through mine. And when I opened up my Saw Vipers, and I was putting them all together, got to the last one, he was missing his left hand.
Dude, I would make a hook for him, and he is now the most badass Saw Viper you have.
But
that's why I pay somebody from my crew to sit there and go through all the box sets and add-ons and stuff while we're at the show.
I actually reached
I don't want to do it.
I actually reached out to the club on that one, and they told me once they got through doing some other things and they got to the info booth stuff, she said she can find one.
Yeah.
She sent it to me, and today I got the hand in the mail and popped it on.
Same exact thing here. Out of all the stuff that we went through, everything was right, except for one hardball was missing, a silencer and the harness. All the body parts were correct. We got all those swapped out at the show, and then one of the Sergeant Smashers was missing his hat. So those three things came in the mail today. If you bought them at the show from the club directly, reach out. If there's something to replace it with, they will, like Mike said, send you the corrected part where it's possible. However, that being said, everything did sell out at the show. So don't be surprised if you didn't check it, you might be a little boned.
Or if you bought it from somebody on eBay, and you already have it in hand. Especially with Major Blood, there's no guarantee that that seller is gonna, if they're a good seller, they'll hook you up with the head. But there's probably folks that are gonna give up that extra corrected head, and will sell that separately on eBay. And
it's one of the reasons why I had to delay for some of my guys. I was sending stuff out. I wanted to go through everything a second time, just to make sure it was right, because I've been offering this to people for 6 or 7 years now. And we've had a really good track record, and I want to close out on a high note and make sure everything's right. So took a little longer, but hey, it's done. So anything else, Mike?
I'm just reading the questions.
Okay, let's hear it.
He asked if I was sleeping.
Behind the sheet. I see a figure waving a sign that says "Help" behind the sheet. What is going on back there?
My new hobby is behind the wall over there. Look, Rick.
Oh no!
In the words of Admiral Akbar,
you should be covering. I'm glad that you cover up those pops in shame.
It's not shame,
Mike. Those are the new Beanie Babies. I'm just telling you right now.
You know what? Y'all sit there and complain all you want to, but Pops is kind of a family collecting thing. So it brings where my daughter does it, my wife does it, so it actually works out for all of us.
I can agree with that.
We just like giving him a hard time.
Oh, absolutely.
I can agree with that, and I understand your motivation. I'm glad that your family has something to enjoy together, but the bubble's about this close to popping, pal.
Yeah.
It'd be okay. See, when we met up in Dallas, when I left and before we met up to eat.
Yeah, you went to that pop show, didn't you?
Yeah, we went to that pop show before we came to meet up with you for dinner.
I'm picturing like some guy in an old rusted brown van in a parking lot. It's like, hey, buddy, come here. I'm going to open up the back. I got some rare pops in here. Come on.
What you looking for?
I got some Chase. I got some exclusives back here.
You know you want this. It's like all Palpatine.
Christy has bought some of the pops. She bought an Outlander set, and she tells me all the time, God, they're worth so much money now. And I went, holy crap, I don't care.
Some of them are crazy.
2 months.
I have one friend that collects those, female friend that collects pops. And I think I had mentioned sometime if they ever make like Lost Boys, like they never do anything Lost Boys. If they ever make the Lost Boy, and then I saw a picture later. She shared with me of Kiefer Sutherland's David character eating out of the Chinese container or something like that. And I'm like, son of a what?
They're maggots, Michael.
It's funny that they go that deep and they make every single. Did they make an old Bob?
What I want to know, I realize it's a very lucrative thing for them, or they wouldn't continue to do it, and that has helped fuel the engine. But how did they manage to get the money to license some of that stuff they started off with? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, if you have a Netflix account, go to Netflix. There's a documentary on Pops. I mean, it's about an hour and a half.
Already?
Yeah, it's been on there for a couple months, I think. But watch it seriously. It is a very good episode. I've watched all of it. It was very interesting. And it gives you a big history on it. Just like this, I didn't know there was a documentary on Glow. But I ended up falling asleep because I've been watching so much TV.
I need to watch the second season of Glow. I haven't watched
that yet.
Dude,
that shit was so funny.
We're going to start watching it.
I'm out.
You don't watch Glow?
No.
Oh my God.
I saw it on TV when I was a teenager, and it was real.
I did too. Yeah.
I'm out.
John lived it. He doesn't need the nostalgia.
Yeah, I remember watching
you kids these days, you don't know.
Rick, did you? I did not know.
Get off my lawn.
We watched WrestleMania when there was only one of them.
When there was a real giant.
Did you know that Ivory was in the original Glow?
No.
Yeah, she was kind of like the what's that one chick, the USA Babe or whatever.
Oh yeah.
She was kind of like her. It's a very interesting documentary. You ought to watch.
This
it's
is
really
the part of
interesting.
the conversation where I see eyes glaze.
I was gonna say it's like they're speaking a foreign language.
You all sit there and say that now. When we get off here, y'all gonna be looking that shit up on Netflix and put it on your watch list.
We already talked about the black hole. We talked about the black hole and Knight Rider villains. So I mean, it's not much. I mean, come on, guys, come on.
All right, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give
guys,
you that.
I hate to do it, but Christy's in the other room and she's let me know for the last half an hour she's starving. So I gotta go. It's been a lot of fun just talking BS tonight. So
go feed your little lady.
Yeah.
Negative, Ghost Rider. Negative. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night, everybody.
Yep.
See you later.
You know one line, and it was from the Pops discussion that I'm kind of sad has really shriveled up, is I really wanted more out of Reaction.
Yeah.
I loved all the different lines that the licenses they were pulling into Reaction.
I did too. I didn't bite though. Did you bite on any of them?
Some. I bought. So there was a picture going around a couple of years ago. Do you guys remember that the little toy line? It was like an obscure office toy called the Cubes.
Yes.
And they were like little office cubes.
Yep.
So somebody did a picture of one of those with Jason Voorhees from The Reaction just sitting in and staring at a monitor. And it's like the most soulless customer service level looking guy ever. And I'm like, I need this. So I bought all the horror pops. I bought the Reaction. I got all the Big Trouble in Little China the minute they came out, including Glow in the Dark David Lopan. I got, Snake Plissken Escape from New York. And I got all the Universal monsters because I only had one of the old Remco ones as a kid.
I had three of them, and I used to, but they were bathtub toys. I was a kid. I mean, like a little kid. When I saw them, I got excited, Fred. I did think about it when I saw that they were making those.
Pulled the trigger.
I used to
on
like the
all
creature.
series of them. They are fantastic. And
it's funny how much those are worth now. The Remco.
Oh my god, it kills me because all I ever had was Creature from the Black Lagoon, and
that was my favorite one. It had because all the texture. I love that.
He was and his little flipper hand perfectly fit the face of another figure. So as a kid, that's how he killed people.
I had Dracula, but Dracula's nose got bit early, like he was. And I had Frankenstein and Wolfman. I think I had 4 of them, I guess.
Yeah, so I went deep onto those, and they had announced a bunch of licenses, but then the partnership between Super 7 and Funko split. And I saw the Planet of the Apes at JoeCon, but now they're like $20 a pop. Because when they were Reaction, they were like $9, $10. So
did you Rick, I know this is off the subject, but Rick, did you see where Josh said in our chat that he was like, "That's it, I'm blocking Funko"?
No,
you're the only one who can see chat, dude.
Do what? No. Our chat is in our Twitter chat that we have, and I kept retweeting the stuff from Funko, and finally Josh said something, so I started tagging him in all of it, and he's like, "That's it, I'm blocking Funko."
Yeah, that's funny.
What was I going to say? For people, Monday, they're going to bill us for the next installment for the figure subscription service. If you're on the billing cycle, Monday you'll get billed for the next one. And which 2 do you hope to see next in a couple of weeks?
Well, they're shipping in order, aren't they? I think they're shipping in order of the reveals.
No.
Yeah, I think they are this time.
No, I got.
So what are the next 2 in the reveals?
Hang on, I'm going to try to pull it up on my phone because the internet at work is not the greatest.
They've been cranking them out so much, and because I had like JoeCon hauls, I haven't opened up any of the new 4 that we've gotten the last few weeks.
First one was Dusty, then Cobra Commander, General Hawk, then Dreadnought.
Okay. Well, never mind then. I am completely wrong.
Treadmark, Tomax, Jinx, Cobra Officer, Budo, which I will have him for sale. Candor.
Don't sell Budo.
Stalker, and Crystal Ball.
I want Crystal Ball, but he'll be last.
Yeah, of course he will. But what if he comes like next week or like?
Oh, dude, I'm done.
What if if they would put him and Jinx together? I might have an aneurysm. I don't know, man.
Crystal Ball is the reason I signed up without even seeing a preview. And I still say that 7 is probably the best roster they've done.
It is.
There's not a bet. I mean, there's like figures that I don't care as much for, but there's not a bad figure.
I want Cobra Commander and Candor next.
I do want that Cobra Commander. You can go with that Arctic Kiss tank I just bought from you, Mike, that I didn't have for whatever reason.
You know what? This is going to sound stupid when I'm looking through this list. Now, hear me out. And this is just something I just thought off the top of my head. First one's Dusty. Then you skip 2. The next one is Cano, whatever his name is. Chaos. Okay. No, that's not right. Never mind. Then the next one after him, well, this might be right.
Mike's going full Illuminati on this.
I know. He's like
Dusty, hold on.
Seeing a pattern, and it's Mike, so I'm worried. Like Rain Man, like 88 balls.
Your ass over there.
This was released on a Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Here we go. Okay, Dusty. Then you skip 2. Then you have Chaos. The next one is Treadmark. Skip 2. The next one is Ice Viper. So it could be Budo. Skip 2. Crystal Ball.
It's not going to be Crystal. I'm telling you right now, Crystal Ball is like Raptor. They're going to hold him till the end.
Okay, no. I'm calling it right now. Budo and Crystal Ball is next.
Dude, that's a perfect shipment. Those are 2 of the ones I really wanted. So
you have to pay more.
Actually, you know who I think they're going to hold till the end? Also, Stalker.
I think they're going to hold Kandor to the end.
Oh, so you think the last shipment will be Stalker, Kangor, and Mysterious 13th? What was the clue for this 13th? I don't even remember.
It was a Joe. Let's see, never got a modern. Let's see if it's listed on here. 13th, G.I. Joe team member, first character appearance in a modern era figure design, not part of a sub team. So you would actually have to go back and look through the club magazines to have any kind of idea whatsoever, maybe.
Oh my God! Come on, Lightfoot.
Has he not had
It won't be. It won't be.
But if it
come
is,
on, Lightfoot.
I would be very happy.
I just wish it would be Night Force Lightfoot, and they said no sub teams because Night Force. My Night Force will never be complete because Lightfoot was never made.
So Lightfoot doesn't have a modern?
Nope.
Is he listening to this comic at all?
Is it really bad that I don't read the comic when it comes out monthly? I wait till they finish an arc, and then I sit and I just marathon through it.
I think this is actually the end of this one, yeah.
These are special missions, so.
Yeah, that's who I'm calling. I'm saying Crystal Ball and Budo will be next.
I would be shocked if I love the idea. I would be shocked if they release Crystal Ball that soon. But you have a good point.
Then after that,
and
I'm calling that right now.
Tundra Ranger Stalker are also very, very desired figures out of this.
Okay, I want to write it all down right now. Okay,
he wants Tiger Force Jinx.
It's like the lottery.
Crystal Ball Budo. After that, it's going to be Cobra Commander and Hawk. Then it'll be Tomax and Jinx.
You kind of need if you had a little
and Stalker.
Wait a minute! It actually lines up that those 2 are in the last shipment.
Kandor and Stalker. Yep.
Holy crap! If Mike is right, I owe Mike like a case of beer at Joe Fest.
That's what I think's going to be. I'm writing it all down so I remember.
Mike, if you had a little antique table in front of you with a crystal ball with that thing draped above you, it looks like we're in a little tent and you're like doing fortune telling. You're like doing. I'm going to have to start calling you codename Crystal Ball.
Oh my God. I want him to have like Skinny's got it.
Yes, exactly. Skinny got it.
Mike, how good's your Russian accent? I just need you to speak like you're from the old country.
Oh gosh, you put me on blast.
You are very unclear today. All I see are tiger stripes everywhere.
I don't think you understand what I'm trying to tell you. Nah, I sound awful. Never mind. No. I gotta write it all down.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Tomax. Yeah,
man, if it would be Budo and Crystal Ball, like that's a good shipment. That would make Fred a very happy Joe fan. All right, well, we know who Mike wants. Rick, Skinny, who do you guys think will be dropping soon? Or who would you want to drop next?
I want Jinx and Crystal Ball.
It really doesn't matter to me, as long as people who are getting them are happy with what they get. So
See, now that's the best answer yet.
That's a good
Do you even have a
attitude.
subscription?
No, I don't.
Ah, see. No, I'm happy with Skidmark and the Ice Viper. I was really happy with him.
Yeah.
I need an extra
Yeah, there
one.
were
Anybody
some
got
people
one? Hit me up on Instagram or Twitter. I need an extra
What's
one.
that?
I wouldn't mind a second one. An Ice Viper. I'd like one more.
Here's something that's really interesting is that did anyone else notice? And I think me and Chris talked about this last time, but the whole there were so many issues I think with this concept as far as like pieces being missing, paint apps, overspray on faces, and it's kind of bled over a little bit on to the FSS figures as well. There's some issues like someone was missing part of, and it was carded, of course, and it's
Oh, the Ice Viper officer was missing his web gear, yeah.
right. And Eric even posted the pictures of his where paint apps were really sloppy.
Mike,
Yeah,
I got one for you. My
Yeah.
buddy Scott got his skid mark. The figure stand says Tunnel Rat.
Really?
He got a Joe Con's carded Sonic Fighters Tunnel Rat stand with his skid mark. I told him to keep it, man. I think that's cool.
Did he
But-
open it or did he leave it? Or did
He opened it. He sent it back to the club.
Oh, wow. I was surprised they even asked for it back. I figured they just send them out of stands. They just keep that one.
They always want the original back, even though they're no longer going to have a let's make a deal table.
You know what? We need to tell John to keep an eye out down there in Dallas for somebody doing, hey, I want to have a whole bunch of problem G.I. Joe figures set up here at this show.
Do you know what I'm wondering will happen? I'm wondering if, because did they do anything where you could buy like parts with the Transformers Club when it closed out? Because I could see the club just being like, here's a bag of like, here's some dinged card versions. And
No, they didn't do
why
anything like
not?
that.
They didn't do that.
They did let's make a deal the last year. And on the last day, a dude went up there and stop it. And they went up there and he's like, hey, I'll give you X amount for all this right here. And they took it and he took all of it and walked away.
Wow.
I think it was like $300 or something like that. I think is what he spent. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he got everything that was like an issue, broken, whatever the case may be. So yeah.
I gotta say the club this year at JoeCon got me twice on things I didn't think they would get me on, because there were two items that I was kind of on the fence on, and they dropped the price on both of them.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was fixing to say that's right. I got you there.
The Mavericks plane and the Battle Force 2000 Conquest, and then the Sky Striker from 2 years ago. I'm standing there and I'm like, man, I was thinking about it. They dropped the price, and I'm like, Mike's like, just go get up there and get one.
Yeah.
Yep. Stop dicking around. Just buy it over. Yeah, they were walking out there like Vanna White holding it. Ooh. Ah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I had the room, I would have got another Conquest because I really like that jet, but I just don't. Don't even get the room for the damn vehicles I do have.
Vehicles take up a lot of room.
Yeah. Especially the Sky Strikers, because you can't put the landing gear down but keep the wings in.
Exactly.
It's the one thing the one thing that I always yell at Neil Hoffman for. It's like, man, you could have fixed that. You could have fixed that from the original, that the gear could go down, but the wings could stay in. No.
I got 3 Sky Strikers in different versions, and I got them all. I got 2 in the case, and I got 1 up here on top of some boxes. I mean, I just don't got room nowhere for this shit, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I want the vehicle.
Have you guys seen those acrylic stands that are on eBay that the one guy makes for the Sky Strikers?
Maybe 8. I have 8 of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the ones I'm talking about. They're specific to each version, and there's like,
I love them.
You can either get it where you can display it up or like
Yes. Yes.
You recommend them, Rick? Because I've been debating.
Not enough. I can't recommend them enough. I just recommended them to another guy like maybe a week ago. About a week ago. I just bought, so I've got one for the original Sky Striker that I just bought. I got one for the Condor. I've got one for the Raven, which is probably my favorite of the jets.
God, that jet is beautiful.
And I do have one for the new Sky Striker, like the modern Sky Striker. I have one for that. I even have Serpentor's Chariot stand. So yeah, I absolutely recommend them. I think they're really nice. They're easy to install.
Okay.
You got to put them on like your top shelf though, like where I put them and stuff, because again, the wings and stuff on a Sky Striker. But you're only left at, like, you can still put figures and stuff on your top shelf.
Yeah.
Because really I get it in the landing pose, so all of them are kind of like, you know, that angle.
Mine would have the wings in it to save space, but he's done stands for the Starscream version, the Jetfire, the Night Boom, all the 10,000 damn Sky Strikers that I've accumulated in the last few years.
Yeah.
And my flag's still boxed up somewhere, so I don't have that to display them on.
Yeah, there's a few that I still want that I don't have, but yeah, I think it takes about a week and a half to get them in hand.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not too bad.
They made one for the Tomahawk as well, too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, I put my
it's coming down, angling like
I put the Tiger Hawk on that. I've got all my Tiger Force sitting, you know, like they're about to land and pick up some folks, and yeah. I could have put my original one on it, but I actually like the Tiger version better.
I still haven't put the rotors on my Tiger Hawk simply because I know they're going to bend the minute they go on.
That's the reason why I never put mine on. Mine are still in the plastic. I have the helicopter in the display case.
Yeah.
I haven't put no blades on it at all. I won't.
Come on, folks. Live the adventure.
Oh, I can live the adventure without it, like those blades, you know, needing some Viagra.
Yeah, it's kind of like you know, when she's in her 20s, they're nice and perky. When she gets to her 40s,
For rotors that stay extended for more than 4 hours, consult your mechanic.
Hey, well, since y'all were talking about Hallmark earlier, I try to get in there and say, but I actually did go and I got a Starscream today.
Yeah,
and
cool.
When I took him out, I almost want to display him with my Transformers because he is so freaking accurate.
Have you bought any of these before, Mike?
Yeah, I have Soundwave, Megatron, and Grimlock. I do not have Prime. Is the one I don't have. My wife, she gets a few of them. We got a few for her, and apparently ours. I don't know if yours does, but they have a layaway program, so we got a few of them in layaway.
I buy the arcade cabinets because one of the first things Amanda ever got me, she got me the Galaga cabinet, which if you ever look at JBL's reviews from the 50th, it's shown up a couple of times. And then I had to, but the year before, and I had missed it, I had to go on eBay to get the Pac-Man cabinet. Well, today Donkey Kong came out.
Yep.
And I'm like, crap, they get Centipede in there, and they've recreated the arcade, the first arcade I ever remember going to. Like those are like early video games, and they're so close to the scale with the 4-inch figures.
Yeah, that makes it
that
cool.
They're perfect.
Did they do a new Motu? Did they do a He-Man or anything? I got Skeletor last year.
Nothing this year. I bought Skeletor because he's 4 inches, which is kind of cool. But
he looks perfect. So
the only other thing that was interesting was Ant-Man and the Wasp. But outside of that, there was nothing really.
What was the Star Wars? What was the Star Wars? Did they do any cool ones?
They did the Falcon.
They did
I'm trying to remember what, because I don't really buy the ships. I mostly go for Marvel. I can look Rick and let you know because she's got the. If I walk in and ask her, she'll know, like immediately. She'll be like, "Well, today was this, and this."
Well,
this one was limited. This wasn't, and
they had the X-wing on that one. I think right next to the Falcon.
Yeah, they did. And I think wasn't Vader's TIE Fighter was up there, but I don't know if it dropped today or if it had dropped previously.
I try to keep it simple.
Yeah, I walked in there. I bought 3 ornaments. Only one was for me. Well, 1.5, because I think half a Starscream is for me. Because when we watched G1 Transformers, that was her other. She liked all of Chris Latta's characters. Like when we watched Sunbow Joe, she latched onto Cobra Commander. When we watched Transformers, she latched onto Starscream. Just something about those guys. So
dynamic.
Yeah, if you get a chance, Rick, that Starscream's pretty nice. I don't know if you collect them or not.
I haven't gotten any of the Transformers. I'm trying not to, but I've been doing Star Wars since the '90s. So.
Oh shit! Your tree's got to be like massive.
I can't put them all on. Unfortunately, I ran out of room. We put a little bit of everything on it, so I kind of take some of my favorite ones over the years.
I have a buddy, he and his wife, and they do it like in all the Star Trek, Star Wars ships. She was Star Trek, he was Star Wars. But I was over there a couple of years ago, and she's like, "Oh, you have to see this." She unplugs the tree and plugs it back in, and they all go off at once.
Yeah,
right. Crossover.
That was cool.
Captain Kirk and Vader and ships shooting, and it's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, the one I won't buy is that stupid Star Trek Discovery ornament, because that show is hot garbage.
I watched the first 2 episodes we were able to see for free, and I refused to pay for a streaming app.
We have CBS All Access, and as I originally got it for that, I kept it for SEAL Team, for original Mission Impossible, because that's on there, and we watch Hawaii Five-0. So
yeah, and I really like Star Trek, but I just did not dig that at first, and from what I read up on it, it sounds like good of a show, anyways.
So. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we're getting on an hour and 45. And I'm going to ask you both, I'm going to pose a question before we close her down, because we kind of did this before, and I think I know Skinny and Rick's answer. If Hasbro were to come out right now and say, we have a surprise Hasbro-produced SDC exclusive that will, and you could have it be whatever you wanted, what would it be?
Something Joe?
It's got to be Joe. It's got to be Joe. I think Rick and Skinny are leaning toward a certain female ninja.
Oh, well, that would be nice.
I am. You know what? You know how I would do it too, and I'm going to make John really mad when I say this if he watches this later. I would do Don Marino, and I would do it in a nice package with a 6-inch version, along with a 3 3/4 version, and let it kick off and gauge interest for a 6-inch.
Oh, you're killing me, Rick.
What is
Both.
that?
I want the 3 3/4 too.
That's 3 3/4 Skinny?
That's
a 12-inch.
Oh wow. It's nice.
Yeah.
We saw the 1-to-1. Me and Fred saw the 1-to-1 scale at JoeCon.
Yeah. When Joe Colton was running around.
Yeah. Joe Colton.
Speaking of the 1-to-1, have you guys seen Kunoichi?
No.
I don't think so.
Kunoichi is Japanese for female ninja. And I got a hold of a stunt woman in Rhode Island. And we got her all dressed up as Don Moreno. And it's on YouTube. It's about 4 minutes long. So check that out.
Holy crap. Okay, I'm searching that out tonight.
Yeah, gotta find that.
Hey, Skinny,
yeah.
Email Mike a link to it, and he can add it to the description for the episode.
Sure.
Because that would be sweet to have on there.
And then I'll send it to you, and you can add it there, because I'll do that.
I think my my SDCC answer would be, and it's going back to the concept case. I want one more G.I. Joe versus Transformers set. And I want, okay, bear with me. I want the Coyote, the unproduced Coyote from Renegades,
okay,
decoed as Optimus Prime.
That'd be pretty badass.
I would take that, and then you could put Don Marino in the set with it. You could.
Oh, the Coyote is the Coyote. I'm there with. I want that Coyote, like something like crazy.
Coyote is Brawn.
But you lost me at Optimus Prime.
Or I want one more good. I want a way to get that Coyote out somehow, and I don't know how.
What if it was just Ironhide red with a black Cobra symbol on it?
Nah, no Cobra. Ironhide's. I want it to literally have the Autobot logo
Oh, you want the Autobot logo?
I love those Joe Transformers crossover sets.
Yeah.
I had missed the Starscream one. I had to pick it up later, but there's something magical about a Starscream Sky Striker.
That's the only one I don't have. I think.
They all look good.
Dragonfly.
Oh,
What do we say?
Spring Arrow's Dragonfly.
hell yeah!
Oh
That
yeah.
sounds like a good combo.
And actually, okay, if we're doing this dream set, and then I want the other two almost human figures thrown in.
Oh yeah. That would be nice to have. Finish
Sure.
that up. That we won't.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Yep, we're going to call it a night there. You can catch us in 2 weeks, which should be the 28th, and we will have our guests lined up. I don't have the information in front of me, but we do have a guest lined up, and we'll post that online and get stuff up for that one. Also, let y'all go start signing out. Skinny?
I don't really have anything else to say. It's a Skinny Joe fan on Twitter and Instagram.
Rick?
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Shattered Glass Jazz.
And Fred?
Joe Battle Lines pretty much everywhere.
And you can find me as Just Another G.I. Joe Show on pretty much all the forums. Also, if you're watching and you're not a subscriber, please click the link and like the show. I think I said lick.
Yes, you did.
I said
Lick the show.
Lick the show.
Lick the leak, baby. Give it a good slurp.
If you see us at Joe Fest, if you're going to lick anything, lick Fred's face.
Ah!
Oh.
I'm a germaphobe. No.
But yeah, we'll be at Joe Fest 2019. We got a message while we were on the show that we will each have a 6-foot table, one for the show and one for Joe Battle Lines. So hopefully we're right beside each other where I can just pick on Fred the whole entire day.
I don't even know what I'm going to put in a booth for JBL. It's a website.
I think what we'll do, we'll make one table of us, and then we'll bring stuff we want to sell and put it on that table.
See, I don't. Yeah, somebody flying, probably. I don't know.
Oh, me too.
I might just pay Kavanaugh to lay across the table. You know,
he can lay naked and cover up like a sushi bar, People come by and eat sushi off of him.
Oh, sweet Jesus! Okay,
He'd do it. He would so do it.
On that note.
Wow.
All right, guys.
Good.
We'll be back.
Good night, everyone.
A dark place.
You catch us in 2 weeks. You can catch me and Rick next week on the G1 Hexagon channel, as we will be doing San Diego Comic-Con and TFCon coverage of everything from Transformers to action figures, which will probably be a good, 4-hour show? Easily?
Probably. Yes.
And so I'm going to try to talk Hex into going to push it back to start at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. Would be nice. So we are not up till 11 midnight online.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that'll happen. But anyways, catch us in 2 weeks and then catch me and Rick next week. And thanks for watching. We appreciate it, guys.
Later, guys.